Let's take a look back at the cinematic history of Batman. The first real Batman movie was actually based from the Adam West TV series from the 60s. You know, the Batman. Really campy and cheesy, made for kids. Then in 1989, Tim Burton was like, hey, I'm gonna make Batman dark and gothic. So we had the movie Batman, where he was played by Michael Keaton. And that series went on for 4 movies, where in the third one he was played by Val Kilmer, and lastly he was played by George Clooney in the 90s. Still pretty campy throughout, considering. Then in 2005, Christopher Nolan reinvigorated Batman to be more realistic than ever, in what, in my opinion, is one of the greatest comic book movie sagas of all time, with Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises. Christian Bale's just the best cinematic Batman ever. Then in 2016, Batman was brought into the DC Extended Universe to fight against Superman, where he was played by Ben Affleck, in a pretty divisive movie and casting choice. I thought he was alright. I didn't love him, I didn't hate him, but he was gonna get his own solo movie in the DC Extended Universe before Ben Affleck stepped down. He was pretty much like, yeah, I don't want to do that. And so this next Batman movie project became what it is today. A completely new, from the ground up Batman adventure which is not connected to any Batman in any media that we have. That's right. It's another reboot. And now, after some production delays, it is finally out in theaters, so let's review it. The Batman. So, The Batman, like I said, is not connected to any other Batman we have in media right now. It's a reboot from the ground up, and it's directed by Matt Reeves. He directed Cloverfield, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, War for the Planet of the Apes. Great director. And if you know just a little bit about Batman, then you're all set for this movie. We have Gotham City. It's completely crime-ridden. It's the pits. And billionaire Bruce Wayne, played here by Robert Pattinson, has been fighting crime as the masked vigilante Batman for 2 years now. So really, he's not like established himself as the dark protector of Gotham. He's still trying to figure himself out how the whole superhero thing works. He's still rough around the edges, and I actually like that about him. But then a serial killer who calls himself the Riddler, played by Paul Dano, comes onto the scene. He starts his whole crusade. He's bad news. And so now we have our new, damn near 3 hours long Batman movie. And you know, people have been hyping this movie up ever since the first trailer came out about 2 years ago. And I will say, yeah, this is a very different kind of Batman movie than we've seen before. This movie does play out like a murder mystery like the movie Seven or Zodiac, which is what everyone has been saying, but it's just true. You look at Gotham City in this movie, there are hardly any scenes in the daytime. The tone is very dark, gothic, emo. It is. Which, alright, that's cool. Alright, Robert Pattinson as Batman, I thought he was pretty good. When he's Batman, which he is for most of this movie. Yeah, when he's in that armored suit, the suit looks really cool, and he's beating the shit out of bad guys, it's really entertaining to watch. He does nail down that persona of the dark and brooding Batman. However, his Bruce Wayne, on the other hand, I actually didn't like it so much. Because when he's Bruce Wayne, he's still pretty dark and brooding, which, first of all, not only does that remind me of Edward Cullen, which, blech, but also, yeah, it would not be that much of a leap to say, I think that guy's Batman. He seems pretty depressed. He has a lot of money, so, I'm pretty sure that money went to some of his tech to be Batman, so yeah, the leap is not too far. I do prefer the Bruce Wayne who actually makes an effort to try to hide the fact that he's Batman. He conceals it by putting on that fake mask of a smile and pretending that he's just eccentric and doesn't really care. I'm just saying, that makes a lot more sense to me. Pattinson here, when he's Bruce Wayne, I'm like, no, he's not really trying to hide it, and I didn't like that as much. That's just me, though. And aside from the Riddler, we do have other Batman characters in this movie, like Zoe Kravitz as Selina Kyle, who we know as Catwoman. And I will say, she was really good in this movie. She surprised me. I like her story, I like how she interacts with Batman. Like, honestly speaking, I wouldn't mind, like, a spin-off series based on her. I feel like that would actually be pretty cool. She's cunning, she's sexy, she can throw down. She pretty much checked off every box on the Catwoman checklist for me. So props to Zoe Kravitz in this movie. And we also have Colin Farrell as Oswald Cobblepot, the Penguin, who I thought was pretty good. I mean, amazing prosthetics aside, his general behavior, his mannerisms, yeah, they are very Penguin. He's not my favorite part of the movie, but I thought he was fine. One more character that I really want to talk about, though, is Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon, because I actually thought he was really good. Jim Gordon's always been a really cool Batman character to me, because he's always been the one when every other cop does not trust Batman, no one else trusts Batman, Jim Gordon is the one who's like, no, Batman stands for justice. I trust him. And and I'm gonna work with him to solve this case. That's really cool, you know, unwavering loyalty. I thought Jeffrey Wright really did a good job of nailing that aspect of Jim Gordon. Now, like I said, the tone of this movie is very dark, gothic. It's serious. There is some humor in this movie, and it did land, I'm not gonna lie. I laughed out loud a couple times. But you know, it's trying to go for that murder mystery noir vibe, which is something we've never seen in any other Batman movie. So that's pretty cool. I do feel, however, that yes, it would have been a lot cooler if it was rated R. And there are a couple of times in this movie where it does get close to R, where you're like, ooh, that was pretty brutal. That's neat. I mean, this being a 3-hour long and serious, for the most part, Batman movie, it's not trying to be a casual watch. So I feel a movie like that would be better suited for an R rating. But hey, PG-13 movies make more money, so PG-13 it is. I can't argue with that. This movie was very clearly inspired by specific Batman stories in the lore, like Long Halloween, which I've never read, or I've never watched the animated movies, but I know enough about it to be like, oh yeah, that was clearly inspired by that. I also saw some really clear inspiration from the Arkham games, all of which I have played, and if you ask me, they are the greatest Batman story ever told in any media, period. So watching this movie, seeing some stuff that was clearly influenced by those games, I was like, that's awesome. You know, it's a detective story, and one of Batman's monikers that he's had throughout the decades is the world's greatest detective. The Arkham games utilize that, this movie utilizes that. Whenever Batman can just show up at a crime scene and go all forensics on it, look for clues, recreate the scene, find out what happened, I just think that's awesome. I love a good detective story. And yes, the action scenes in this movie were really cool. Not just really cool, the action scenes in this movie were badass. My favorite action scene actually has to be that Batmobile car chase scene that we saw in the trailer where he's chasing down the Penguin. That scene is awesome in this movie. The sound design, I saw this in IMAX, so the bass was jacked the fuck up. When those engines rev up, it's just like you feel like there's a fucking earthquake in the theater. It's awesome. But yeah, of course, the hand-to-hand fight scenes were also really cool. When Batman's thrown down with bad guys, again, the sound design, the bass is jacked up, you feel those punches. The choreography is really good. So as cool as the action scenes were and the detective element of the story, I will say, yeah, I did not feel like this movie had to be 3 hours long. I really feel like it could have been half an hour, maybe even 45 minutes shorter, if I'm being honest. I mean, I get that this is trying to go for a new, different kind of Batman movie, but the tone and detective element do that alone. You don't have to go bigger with the runtime. Besides, if you're gonna make sequels, then how long are they gonna be? I don't know. I mean, I'm not against a movie being 3 hours long. Hell, Return of the King is 4.5 hours long, and I love it to death. Just as long as it justifies that runtime, which Return of the King does, but this movie, I don't think it does. Again, that's just my opinion. Although I will say I loved the ending of this movie. Of course, I'm not gonna spoil it, so all I'm gonna say is that I love the ending of this movie. I thought it was great. One of the best things about it, if you ask me. As for the score, written by Michael Giacchino, it's really good. That repetitive theme that we've heard in the trailers, that bum, 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 bum. At first, I wasn't a huge fan of it, but at this point, it has grown on me. As repetitive as it is, it sounds really cool. It really does convey the anger of the Batman, and I will say, I think this is the angriest Batman that we've ever gotten in a movie. And that's just not a bad thing. And also, the Riddler has a theme that's pretty eerie, and Catwoman has a theme that utilizes piano, kind of like Catwoman's theme in The Dark Knight Rises. A little derivative there, but still cool. All in all, great music. Michael Giacchino, man. The guy can do no wrong. So in the end, The Batman is a very unique Batman movie. A lot of the elements in it I really loved. Like Batman himself, I thought his action was really badass. I love Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman. The Riddler was very menacing. I do like the tone, I like the atmosphere, I like the humor when it was there. Was not a fan of Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne, or the movie's runtime, but I like the detective element and that ending, yeah. All in all, this is a solid Batman movie. If you're a Batman fan, watch it. For The Batman, I will say, go see this movie while it's in theaters. So, The Batman, have you seen it yet? What do you think about it? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And of course, thank you for subscribing. Peace.